It's not that the gold price is going up, it's the purchasing power of your dollar that's going down, and it's going to keep going down. So keep buying gold as your protection. Visit my friends at sdbullion.com and they will help get you the metal you need. Happy Valentine weekend at TFMR. It is Friday the 13th. Woo! February 2026, Valentine's weekend. And a 3-day U.S. market holiday weekend is now underway. The Globex is closed. We are done with U.S. trading now for 74 hours. Hey, I'll take it. After the week we've had, the last 2 weeks, really, any downtime we can get is fine with me. Of course, it's going to be an extraordinarily busy week next. The Chinese markets will be closed all week long. So we don't know how that's going to impact things. In between, we get the minutes of the January FOMC. We get PCE, the Fed's favorite inflation indicator, next Friday. We might get Trump's tariff ruling from the Supreme Court next Friday. It's a possibility. We do know we're going to get New York Stock Exchange option expiration next Friday, so that'll be a barrel of laughs. It's going to be a very busy week. In between, of course, all sorts of minor company earnings. A lot of big silver miners Wednesday and Thursday of next week. So it's going to be a real busy week. I, for one, very much looking forward to a 3-day weekend. And I'm always glad when the week starts on Tuesday. You're that much closer to wrapping it up. Speaking of which, on Monday, I'll have some kind of new thread for you. I recorded an interview today with Elijah Johnson, so it's going to go live tonight or tomorrow, so I might just take that, make a quick thread of it Monday morning, and then we'll be back to business on Tuesday. Very interesting week, obviously. Bond market rallying all week long, a dollar back down this week. And just think of the horse shit that's been used over the last 2 weeks as cover to smash the metals. Whether it was all the nonsense about Warsh 2 weeks ago today, or the garbage. I told you it was garbage yesterday about, this thing about Russia wanting to get back on the dollar. Even if they did, it was bogus. But that story came out a full 2 hours before gold and silver were smashed yesterday. Hopefully you listened to yesterday's podcast. I tried to explain this to you. So now, but everybody's, reaching for, God, we don't want to be called a conspiracy theorist. The boys of fart will come after you if you do. Remember that? Final arbiters of all reality and truth, the boys of fart. Eric T. and Kuz Jansen and all them dudes. Anyway, I digress. We don't want to just say that some kind of conspiracy that silver gets smashed on the last day of the month after China's already in bed and after the PM fix and London is closed and all their options are done, all that, and then silver gets crushed. Oh, but that's all about Mirren. No, or not Mirren, but Warsh. Yeah, right. And then yesterday, $8.08. Oh, it's all about this Russia. Everybody's grasping at straws, not wanting to admit what really did happen. Where do you see this week's COT report? There are no speculator positions of size. There was nobody rushing for the exits on the specs yesterday, and open interest only fell 1,600. Now, it fell to the lowest level since September of 2024, almost 18 months ago. Nonetheless, if anybody was dumping yesterday, it was the swap dealers dumping some of the longs they've added over the last 6 weeks. When do we see next week's COT report? Well, they probably bought them back today, so they covered all their tracks. Anyway, what I'm saying is silver got way out in front of things, got everybody really freaked out. You got all these margin hikes from the CME, and then you got two coordinated, obvious, after the PM fix smashes. Not gold fix, but you get after London's close, you get these smashes. Whether it was 2 weeks ago today or yesterday. Underlying all of this, really good day or a really good week for gold. Gold up. Silver, well, up on the week as well. But the bond market rallying all week, rates down, any short end down 10 basis points, a 10-year note down 15. The dollar down. Shares, where did I show you the weekly chart of the GDX? Shares doing just fine, thank you. With AEM really getting things rolling. AEM got smoked yesterday for what, $9? Back up 11 today. Where would AEM be without the bogus smash? Where would the GDX be without the bogus smash of yesterday? So anyway, but put it all together on the week. From last Friday's COMEX close to today's COMEX close, gold was up $63. Well, 1.2%. Okay. Do that every week. That'd be fine with me. Silver up $1.05. What's that? 1.5%. Again, do that every week. That'd be fine with me. Oh, and I should point out that even at today's close, 77.52 for silver, taking into account the ridiculous $8 smash yesterday. But even right now, we are halfway through the first quarter. And silver is up 10% year to date. But it went to 121. Yeah, it did. Yeah. And it's going to be a while before it goes back to 121. But 6-7 weeks in, and silver's up 10% year to date. So let's try to stay focused on things like that. Okay? Anyway, busy week next. But it doesn't really not going to get going on. There'll be trading Sunday and through Monday, right? But no Shanghai, nothing but London, all the criminals over there on Monday. And then we'll be back to U.S. futures trading at the Monday evening. Globex reopen, 6 o'clock Eastern. And then we'll just take it day by day. All right, so what do you got on this page? All kinds of things. I thought I would start with this. You'll recognize these silver stocks reports from the CME. Of course, at the bottom, the disclaimer that they put on about 10 years ago. This information in the report is taken from sources believed to be reliable. However, the CME disclaims all liability whatsoever with regard to its accuracy or completeness. Okay. All right. Just look at these things side by side and see what you see. Because again, there's all this talk, the COMEX is being depleted. And clearly you can see, numbers are down. Oh, but the COMEX is going to go out of business in 2 weeks. Is it now? Well, look at it side by side. Again, this is the most recent one of these I had. I didn't cherry pick it. I just searched the old MacBook for silver stock reports. And this was the first one that came up from December the 2nd. Okay, 10 weeks ago. Before really things got cooking in December. Total combined registered and eligible 456 million ounces. What do we got now? 376. So it's down 80 million ounces. That's a lot. 18%. That's a lot. 80 million ounces. That's not an insignificant number. However, it is still 376 million ounces. Okay? Well, look at the registered, Craig. Almost 138 million, however many weeks ago. Now 93. That's down a lot. That's 35, but that's down by a third. 35% maybe. Yes, it is. That's true. But that's all there is. But now, 93 million. That's not even 20,000 contracts for March. See? Well, yeah, but, you can always move some eligible into registered. Okay, anyway, again, just look across, look at some of the numbers. Look at JP Morgan's gone from 198 million ounces to 159 million ounces. With a big withdrawal just yesterday, 2.4 million ounces out of their eligible vault. And you look at some of these, though, about the same. Haven't changed at all. Look at International Depository Services of Delaware. No change at all. HSBC is actually up a little. Okay, so anyway, you know how I feel about this stuff. All these people going crazy. COMEX is not going to default in March. It doesn't mean they're not going to default at some point or cash settle everybody or all the stuff we've always talked about. But it's not happening 2 weeks from today on first day notice for March, okay? It's just not. All right, here's the story from yesterday that's now been recanted. whatever. Russian central bank chief says there are no discussions underway to restore U.S. dollar for exports, despite yesterday's Bloomberg claims. Again, the Bloomberg story, 9:14 Eastern yesterday. Again, we discussed this in yesterday's podcast. 9:14 Eastern, dateline, time-stamped. The crash in gold and silver happened just after 11 Eastern, 2 hours later. But everybody's looking for it. Well, it had to be something. We can't just say it was conspiracy theory. So they glammed onto this thing, which now we know even this is bogus. This story was bogus yesterday. I mean, I can see, U.S. dangling a carrot out in front of Russia. Hey, we'll let you back onto SWIFT if you, withdraw from Ukraine. It doesn't matter if Russia said they wanted to be back in the dollar. They've been kicked out. They can want all they want. This is the most bogus thing. What makes me more angry than anything else, one, is that happened yesterday. And two, people trying to come up with, well, it must have been this, or maybe it was that. Or maybe it was just a blatant criminality of the banks that like to do these things when nobody's watching. All these smashes happening on COMEX, during COMEX hours. You don't see complete collapses in Shanghai. If you do, that's only because of COMEX had gotten smashed hours earlier. All of the selling of the last 2 weeks during COMEX hours. Gosh, there must be large speculator positions. Well, I'll show you that in a second. There's not. All right, anyway, Supreme Court says February 20th to be an opinion day. That's a week from today. And they're going to release opinions then on the 23rd and the 24th as well. So pretty good chance we're going to get some tariff stuff. Now remember, when the tariffs are put on, silver fell 30% in 3 days, from 36 down to 28, 25% in 3 days. Gold got hammered too. So now when the tariffs come off, probably going to try to hammer them again. And we didn't talk about the monthly Treasury statement from a couple of days ago. U.S. is, so 4 months into the fiscal year, the deficit so far is about $100 billion less than last year, $700 billion versus $800 billion, something like that. And the only difference is the $100 billion or so in tariff revenue. Take that away, the Keynesian experiment unraveling that much faster. And then lastly, I thought I'd give you this. This is not intended any political statement whatsoever. I don't know who Daniel Baldwin is. On days like this, I'm calling back the headline. He's not a Baldwin brother. Look, this guy's an economist or trader, so I should point that out. The headline from CNN, Trump would make America's inflation crisis worse. This is from the heart of it, June of 2024, back before the election. 16 Nobel economists warn. I'd probably name some. Krugman. Who's the one? Oh, God dang it. What's his bucket? Wick. Anyway, senior moment. Anyway, you know who these clowns are. 16 Nobel economists. Did you see the CPI today? Now, yeah, we can talk about how bogus it is and all that kind of stuff, but it's clearly down from what it was a couple years ago by the way they measure it. It's not worse. Economists. Okay, to your charts. Here's that chart. This is a daily chart of the yield on the 10-year note. Again, from the point of Warsh 2 weeks ago, going all the way up to 430 because he's such a hawk. Now today, 405. I don't see, gold's not back up to 5,500 yet though, is it? Huh, yeah. And silver's not back up to 100. No, it's not, is it? Huh. All right, and in the weekly chart of the dollar index, finishing up at 96.90. Why is that important? Well, one, it's below 97. Two, look all the way down to the lower left. See, the lowest weekly close for the dollar index since the week of the Ukraine-Russia war beginning 4 years ago. Got to go all the way back that next to last week, exactly 4 years ago of February. Remember the Winter Olympics were on, then a couple days later, Russia invaded, all that stuff. Okay, 4 years ago. That was the last time the dollar index closed a week below 97. Okay, let's do the charts this way. We're going to start with silver because silver is not much fun. Like I said, the way it ran up, And then, the ugly candles, the continued garbage manipulation of price during COMEX hours. It's gonna take a while for it to recover. It's not like it's dead, but it just lost a lot of. It's like anything that takes a little while to rebuild momentum. You're like a freight train just rolling, pulling freight mile long, and all these engines, and all of a sudden, bang! It just completely stops. Well, it takes a little while for those engines to rev up again and start moving and rolling again. And that's what happened to silver. So anyway, we'll start with silver because the chart's going to get better as we go. Again, this week, look at the volume spikes yesterday. Okay. And out of the blue for no reason. Had that not happened, where would we be? 85? I mean, we could play this game all day, right? But look at the volume. Okay, and look at the during COMEX hours. Outside of Monday, smash on Tuesday, down on Wednesday, smash yesterday. They try to even hit us again a little bit today. All the selling is during COMEX hours. All right, that leaves the weekly chart or the daily chart looking like this. Like I said, it would have been nice if silver would have gotten back above the 50-day, the green line. The fact that it didn't, again, just tells you the freight train is just trying to get moving again, and it's going to take a little while. And then silver on the weekly chart, there's nothing to be happy about here either. Now, up on the week from the COMEX close last Friday, down a little bit on the week from the spot close. But anyway, you get the idea. I mean, this is just going to be kind of sticky in here between 70 and 85, maybe 65 and 90, however you want to look at it. I just think this is going to take a little while, form a big cup eventually, and then break out again. But it's going to be a while. That's okay. Again, that's not bad. I mean, just going sideways. What was silver in the third quarter? 39. What was silver in the fourth quarter? 54. What's the silver going to be this quarter? 80. Okay, just going sideways at 80 will allow everybody to kind of reset their expectations and get into the silver miners, especially after they see the earnings next week. All right, this is running along. I better keep going. Gold on the week, again, massive volume. These are 30-minute candlesticks. What is that, 35,000 contracts of volume in one period? Okay, that's more than almost some of these days, it seems like. Hours upon hours. The rest of the time, fine. Massive volume. Again, without that yesterday, $160 down, maybe $5,200. That's why they got to do what they got to do. Gold on the daily chart, though. Remember I said this little trend line's important. Got back above it today. Got back above the 20-day moving average as well. The key level, obviously, is 5,100. Above there, 5,200. And then maybe we can just continue to ride this line as we get deeper into February. And then gold on the weekly chart. There it is. I told you these charts are going to get better and better as we go through them. That, my friend, may not feel like it, but that is a new all-time weekly closing high. Remember, even back on after the disaster of 2 weeks ago to end the month, I said, this gold chart for the month doesn't look that bad. And we finished the month above the previous intra-month high. That's usually a good sign. Now, we don't know how the rest of this month is going to go over the next 2 weeks. But obviously, we're already doing okay. We finished the month at, 4,900 or something in January. And we're up 153% month to date. And then finally, the shares look pretty good too, brother. There's that trend line that goes back that double bottom low off the old all-time highs near 68 early November. Held it again just a couple weeks ago. Fell below the 20-day yesterday, back above the 20-day today. All continued earnings reports. It may go up and kind of round off around 110 and then kind of go sideways again for a while after earnings. We'll see, but the chart looks great. And you want to see a chart looks great? Look at the weekly chart. Those are parallel trend lines. Okay? So from when things really took off, remember back in August, they rolled into September and into October. From that October high to that early November, late October low, you draw these trend arrows. How about that? And that's legit too, man. That's what? 1, 2, 3, almost 4 months of trend. Not too shabby. It looks pretty good. All right, and finally, I mentioned your COT reports for the week through last Tuesday. Gold was up $97. Open interest down around $5,300. The change is pretty small. I mean, again, notice the swap dealers adding longs, covering shorts. Now, managed money still has, what's that, 73,000, 92,000 net long? But that's nothing. Nothing. That's when I get home next week, I'll check it out. But that's the lowest that's been in months. 92,000 net long for the managed money category. But it's a bubble. And traders were selling yesterday. Sure they were. Take a look at silver. This is where, again, silver $8.08 or whatever, because traders were selling. Yeah, which traders were those? The managed money category, which only had 12,000 longs to begin with? How much? What was the volume yesterday? Yeah. So what, they just blow it all out? The entire managed money? No. Who has some to sell? The swap dealers. Yeah, they could have. Right. Anyway, silver on the week we had been down $3. You can see all the open interest. It continues to leave. It was 133,641 on Tuesday. As of last night, it's 132,454. Again, the lowest since September the 12th of 2024. Again, these are tiny, micro positions. Managed money, net long. What is that? 4,600 contracts? That's down 90% from what it was back in September and October. Okay? Who else is left to sell besides, again, the banks trying to stop the freight train and kill the momentum and hopefully keep price in check? They'll probably have some luck next week with China being out. But then what about after that? We shall see. All right. Hang in there. I hope you have a great weekend. Again, no work for Turd on Monday. Just a little easy post, maybe a couple of charts, and then we'll be back at it on Tuesday. Thank you for listening. Hang in there. Again, remember, silver's up 10% year to date. Gold's better than that. Doing okay. Have a nice weekend. We'll see you on Tuesday. Chappelle Turd Ferguson signing off, and I'm out.